Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Out of the Park Baseball 26 series, Rescue the Rockies. And we are just past the trade deadline in this 2035 season. Our Rockies are trying to thread the needle here. We didn't make any trades approaching the trade deadline, and we are delaying bringing up a couple of interesting players, most notably the outfielder Phil Dingwell, who we think could help us this year. But as we've talked back and forth in the comments section to recent episodes with Patrick DeBonis and others on the subject, hoping that Dingwell will be eligible for the prospect promotion incentive next season and think he could be a real strong candidate for Rookie of the Year. He's one of the top rated prospects in baseball at this point, former first round draft pick of ours. So we're hoping to delay his arrival in the majors until September, which will keep his service time and his at-bats low enough that he'll still qualify as a rookie next year and hopefully win Rookie of the Year. But we are in a very big battle with the Los Angeles Dodgers here, who have a one-game lead on us in the NL West. And the winner of the NL West is likely to have a first-round bye. The loser is likely to be hosting a first-round playoff series. So it's very possible at the end of this episode, when we get to late September, early October, in the end of this season, that we will regret a bit not being more aggressive in the trade market and or not being more aggressive bringing up prospects who can help us now earlier if we do still end up falling to the Dodgers in the division. Kevin Roberts Jr., who's been a two-time MVP for us already, trying to win a third MVP award in 4 seasons for us, having a monster season near or at the top of the leaderboard in batting average, homers, ribbies, OPS, and batter WAR as we begin the episode. And Leo Martinez, who's striving for a second straight Cy Young Award, leading the league in wins, second in ERA, and first in pitcher WAR as we sit here on August 1st. So in addition to the team goals of getting past the Dodgers in the NL West and wrapping up a 10th consecutive playoff appearance, our individual goals are front and center with the likes of Roberts Jr. and Leo Martinez. Before we get the episode going, wanted to touch upon a couple of lineup things in comments from recent episodes. Ravenspawn 3 brought up the fact that Ezekiel Tovar, who's been our leadoff hitter against righties most of this year, definitely regressing as far as his bat, hitting just .220 this year with a .261 on-base percentage. Historically, the last few seasons haven't felt like we've had an ideal leadoff hitter, but we are swapping him back to the 6th spot in the order and moving Rosnail DePaula, who's hitting .274 this year with a .347 on-base percentage, up to the leadoff role against righties for the foreseeable future. One other roster thing I wanted to talk about, and this was brought up by Undercover Boomer, who was happy to see Mike Girard back for us in the majors after a long rehabilitation that cost him the end of last year and the playoffs his last season, as well as most of this year. Did a rehab assignment in AAA, and now he is back, and Girard is absolutely crushing the ball. Just 10 games played, hitting .360 in 25 at-bats, but the most impressive numbers for Girard, 4 home runs and 19 ribbies in the very early going of his season in just 25 at-bats. So he would be setting a lot of records if he keeps to hitting home runs and driving in runs at that pace. Certainly not expecting that level of production from Girard going forward, but given the pop in his bat and his great glove, very happy to have him back, helping our lineup and perhaps even more importantly, helping our pitching staff. And we'll take a look at our schedule for August after we just completed our best month of the season, losing just 4 games in the month of July. Got a couple left against the Cardinals on the road and then we remain in the Midwest for 3 in Milwaukee before coming home for 3 against Pittsburgh, and then a potentially very important 4-game series against the Dodgers before we get to the middle of the month. And just a 2-2 start to the month, losing a couple of pitching duels, 3-1 to St. Louis and 1-0 at Milwaukee yesterday. So not playing quite as well yet as we did in the month of July. Unfortunately, potential injury issue here for our team. Not going to be crippling, but for those of you who wanted us to perhaps bring some help on board in the middle infield and were disappointed that we didn't make a move on Jefferson Rojas or others. Avery Sham, I think, was first and foremost in that club. Ezequiel Tovar, the wrecked 34-year-old, now out with a bone bruise in his wrist for the next 3 weeks. So that will definitely weaken our infield defense until late August. And we'll have to be going down to the farm to try to get some help. And with the injury to Tovar, we're going to tap into some depth that we have in AAA in terms of infielders, and part of the reason why we didn't jump at the opportunity to bring on a older, more expensive player in the trade market was that we felt we had some versatility in AAA, and we brought up the young infielder Trent Kaysen, 13th round pick back in 2030, and he's developed into a interesting looking prospect. Started the year in Double-A where he hit .330 with 24 homers and 52 ribbies. Promoted him a few weeks ago to Triple-A where he's hitting .288 with 5 homers and 14 ribbies in 59 at-bats. Versatile defensive player who can play anywhere in the infield at a competent level. We had him playing short in AAA, although to be fair, he's probably more of a natural third baseman with his profile, and that's where he's going to be playing for us. Kaysen, similar to several of the younger players in our organization, unfortunately has pretty dramatic splits. He can't really handle righties at the major league level quite yet, but he looks like he could be an absolute home run hitting monster against left-handed pitching. And we're giving him an opportunity to see what he can do. He's going to go right into the lineup against lefties as our number 3 hitter and play third base for us. We pivot Rosniel DePaula to shortstop, although actually I think we might end up pivoting. I think we do that. Actually, we're going to pivot the lineup. I screwed up here a little bit. I think we're going to ultimately have Mahez at shortstop against left-handed pitching, even though that's been tricky for us to do. Against righties, though, Cody Schreier goes into the lineup at second base, takes over for Mahez there, and Mahez will play shortstop against right-handers and move up to the 6th spot in the lineup with the recent injury to Mr. Tovar. And we did end up having to pivot things around a little bit against left-handed pitching. Kaysen's actually going to play first base for us, Schreier second, Rosniel DePaula will play third, and Derby Mahez will play short for us against lefties. Mahez is our best defensive infielder at this point, with Tovar injured, and going to give him the opportunity to play short every day for these next few weeks, assuming we can keep him healthy. And it hasn't been a great start to August for us, though. We've split another 4 games since the last time we checked in, so a 4-4 record here through the first 8 days. We did take 2 out of 3 at home against Pittsburgh to win that series. And now we are set up for those big 4 games against the Dodgers. With us not playing as well here to start the month, we have slipped to 2.5 behind the Dodgers in the division. So hopefully we can take at least 3 out of 4 at home and close a little bit of the ground on the Dodgers in the standings. And unfortunately, our trend of being a 500 team here in August continued. We split the 4-game series with the Dodgers, which, given that we are the ones who are chasing them and we're at home, was not optimal for us. So a 6-6 record over these first 12 days of August. Got an off day today, finally. Headed back out on the road for 2 against the A's and then 4 in Atlanta. And then we'll be back at home for 3 against San Diego and 3 against St. Louis before finishing off the month of August at Houston and at San Diego, at which point we will be making those decisions about September call-ups and hoping that we didn't wait too long to potentially get past the Dodgers. And although we had been holding our own with a 500 record through the first 12 games of August, things are rapidly falling apart for us. We look poised to have our worst month of the season after our best month of the season in July. Lost 5 in a row this week at Oakland and at Atlanta. We were actually no-hit 1-0 on Friday afternoon. Did finally salvage the final game of the road trip against the Braves, but with the 1-5 record for us over the past week, we've now fallen 6.5 behind the Dodgers in the division, so it's going to get increasingly difficult for us to get past Los Angeles in the standings. 4.5 games up on the wild card, the final wild card spot at this point. Only 2 games up on the Marlins, though, to maintain the potential to host that wild card series. Hopefully, with the fact that we're back home for our next week, that will give us an opportunity to turn things around a little bit as far as our record. And we did win the first game of our homestand against the Padres. Perhaps even more importantly, Ezequiel Tovar now back and healthy. So we put him back at short, made some changes to our lineup, and sent Mr. Kaysen down to AAA. Presumably we'll be seeing him as a call-up again in about a week and a half. And some better results at home this week. We took the series against the Padres and the Cardinals, winning 2 out of 3 against each of them. Unfortunately, the Dodgers playing their best baseball of the season at this point, and they've expanded their lead on us to 7.5 games now. You can see Kevin Roberts Jr. hasn't been hitting as well of late. Batting average is down to .317, so he's not even in the top 3 in hitting or home runs anymore. Still second in ribbies and leading the league in OPS and batter WAR. Pitching-wise, as we head into late August, Martinez still leading the league in wins, still leading the league in pitcher WAR, and still second in earned run average. But the most important result is the result on the field, and we're just under 500 for this month of August. Hopefully we can make that up over these last 4 games of the month. And as we head into the final day of the month, we took 2 games on the road in Houston, but lost the first against San Diego. So we need to salvage a win today to get our record to 500 for the month. Unfortunately, even if we get to 500, we are going to be well behind the Dodgers in the standings. You can see we're 8.5 behind at this point. They have been on fire here in the month of August. The Dodgers, with the .634 winning percentage, now easily have the best record in baseball. We're pretty close to the second best record in baseball, just a half a game behind the Pirates. And we're actually in a flat-footed tie with the Mets, who would be set to win the National League East at this point. Still in a very good position, 3.5 games up on the Marlins to be hosting a wild card series. But with the way the Dodgers have been playing, certainly going to be a pretty significant hill to climb to get past them in the standings. I guess the only positive thing is it's hard to imagine if we had brought on a veteran middle infielder or even promoted Phil Dingwell that both of those moves in earnest would have meant 8.5 games in the standings. So perhaps it's a rationalization at this point, but it looks like maybe it was just not our year to beat the Dodgers in the NL West. Doesn't mean we're going to give it up. Doesn't mean we're not going to throw everything possible at them in the month of September, but certainly not looking good for us to claim another division title here in 2035. And we did win the final game of August against San Diego to salvage a 500 month. Rank first in the National League in runs scored at this point, third in the National League in runs allowed, so still a very impressive season for our team statistically. Our 77-57 record, 3 worse than Pythagorean expectations. But as we begin the final month of the season, 8.5 games behind the Dodgers, so it's definitely going to be difficult to overcome the deficit. The one thing I will say is Kevin Wayment, who is a guy who's been playing outfield for us while we've kept Phil Dingwell in AAA, just won the National League Rookie of the Month, hit .316 with 9 homers and 26 ribbies, so he had by far his best month of the season. So I think it's hard after a month like that and looking at Wayment now with a .283 average, 18 homers and 52 ribbies, 116 WRC plus and a 1.7 WAR on the season, playing primarily against right-handed pitching. Kind of hard to argue that having Dingwell up instead of him would have had a huge impact on us, particularly because right now Dingwell is a bit better against left-handed pitching than he is against right-handed pitching. So going to be tough for us to get past the Dodgers in the standings, but we will give it our best in this month of September. Taking a look at the standings here. Still 5.5 up on the final wild card spot, 3.5 games up on the Marlins in the race to host the wild card series. As I said, we're not going to give up on trying to get past the mighty Dodgers, but certainly at this point it would seem that holding off the Marlins, the Nationals, Phillies, and Giants to ensure we have home field in a wild card series is probably the most realistic thing we need to be striving for in the standings at this point. And we've got kind of an interesting schedule that we're going to be dealing with here in the month of September as we try to make up that massive 8.5 game gap on the Los Angeles Dodgers. You look at real baseball and you look at what's happened over the last several weeks between the Detroit Tigers and the Cleveland Guardians, and I guess you can say we still have a chance until we're mathematically eliminated. First 21 games of the month are all going to be against divisional foes. Got a 10-game homestand in the middle. 6 total games against the Dodgers. Realistically, we probably have to go a minimum of 5-1 in those 6 games against Los Angeles to have any chance of closing the gap on them. After those 21 divisional games to start the month, we'll finish with the final 7 games of the regular season at home. Oddly, all against non-divisional teams, the Phillies 4 games and then 3 against Washington. So 28 games for us to go. 17 of them are going to be at home, so that's a small positive in our favor, but clearly those games against the Dodgers are going to be critical given we've got such a big gap to make up on them in the standings. Taking a look at our expanded roster here for the month of September, 2 additions. Brought up Kevin Canty, former 20th round pick in 2027. Like his stuff, don't love his control. The 26-year-old was 8-4 with a 4.99 ERA in AAA Albuquerque this year. Missed most of last year due to injuries. Don't know that his age, with his skill set and his inability to avoid giving up bases on balls, as well as his fragility, that he's a big part of our future. But we'll get a look at him in a long relief and mop-up role. And we also brought the young reliever, 23-year-old Josh Joss, also known as Dandy, second-round pick in 2030, back up to the roster. He was outstanding in Albuquerque for us this year, a 1.85 ERA with 16 saves in 30 games. Struggled when he was up in Colorado earlier this year when we had some pitching injuries. An ugly 8.10 ERA over 10 innings pitched. Did have a 4.06 BABIP against him. Presumably that will be better going forward. And Josh, unlike Canty, could be a material part of our future as a potential nice right-handed arm out of the bullpen. So we'll see if Dandy can pitch better over these next several weeks. Position players reunited with Trent Kaysen, who we had sent back down a week and a half or so ago when Ezekiel Tovar was healthy. He'll be playing first base for us against left-handed pitching. You can see with the additions we've made, we've got all righties against left-handed pitching, and that's because the fourth addition to the team is Phil Dingwell, the outfielder. He'll move into right field. Kevin Roberts Jr. pivots over to center field against left-handed pitching. Dingwell and Case and the two additions will just be on the bench against right-handed pitching, but they will, in the case of Dingwell, get to make his major league debut here. Hopefully get some action in the month of September. Kaysen back up. Dingwell, the number 25 prospect in baseball, as we talked about, the hope is that he could be a serious candidate for Rookie of the Year next year. Supplemental first-round pick from 2030, ready to make his major league debut after a monster season in AAA, 329 average, 38 homers, and 97 ribbies. Put up a 164 WRC plus and a 4.0 WAR. We had him playing first base most of the year in AAA just to make him as versatile defensively as possible. Taking a look at his ratings at this point, looks like an absolute monster against left-handed pitching, and definitely developing the home run power against righties, although he's not going to be playing for us starting on a normal basis against righties, hoping to get him some at-bats every few days in some of the outfield positions. And a good start to the month. Won the final two games against the series against the Padres on the road. As we sit here on September 3rd, the Dodgers lost 2 in a row, so we have cut the gap on them to 6.5 games. We've got the second best record in all of baseball at this point. The only thing that stinks is that the team with the best record is in our division. So as we've been talking about a lot, right now we would be set to be a wild card. Kevin Roberts Jr. doesn't look like he's going to win a batting title this year. He's 16 points behind Gutierrez and 14 points behind Vaca in the hitting race. But still, with his 32 homers and 96 ribbies, close to being near the top of the leaderboards in both of those categories, continues to lead the league in OPS and batter WAR. We'll see where things end up there. Martinez continues to lead the league in pitcher WAR and wins, and is second in ERA, as those two gentlemen continue to pursue some individual awards this year. And the good news is we continue winning and the Dodgers continue losing. Won the first two games against San Francisco while the Dodgers continue to struggle. So we have made up 4 games on the Dodgers in the standings in the last 4 days. So that's the real positive news. The negative news is that our old buddy Ezekiel Tovar having some back spasms, going to impact him for the next week. We'll probably send him to the bench just to be cautious at this point, especially given that we've got the extra infielder on the roster now with the expansion to 30 players and the fact that we brought Kaysen back. And we honestly could not have drawn up the beginning of the month of August any better. Swept the Dodgers over 3 games, so that runs our record for this month of September to 8-0 at this point. The Dodgers did win on an off day Thursday, but we still have already closed the gap on them to just a game and a half behind in the division. 9 straight wins now for the Rockies, dating back to the end of August, and we're certainly going to make it interesting. It's definitely going to be disappointing to have the second best record in baseball and end up playing in a wild card series. But at this point, we've got the opportunity to perhaps ensure that that team is the Dodgers rather than our Rockies. And we've continued to play some incredible baseball over the past week. Took 3 out of 4 at home against the Diamondbacks, and then we took 2 out of 3 in San Francisco. So only 2 losses this month for our Colorado Rockies, and we have more than closed that huge gap we had to start the month. We're now 2 games ahead of the Dodgers in the standings. With just a couple of weeks left in this season. Big 3-game series coming up on the road at Los Angeles. We said we needed to go 5-1 against them to have any chance. At this point, with a 2-game lead, having taken the first 3, if we can go 2-1 on the road against the Dodgers to expand our lead to 3 games, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to overcome us. So said we were maintaining hope that perhaps we'd get past them, but honestly, I didn't think there was any scenario where we'd be past them by September 17th, and here we are. Kevin Roberts Jr. Continues to look like he's going to have a potential MVP season again, still leading the league in batter WAR and OPS, 3rd in the league in hitting at this point. His teammate Ted Miller has climbed up to 3rd in the RBIs, and Anthony Pack Jr. now tied for 2nd in stolen bases. Looking at the pitching, Leo Martinez now leading the league in ERA. He's won 20 games for the first time in his career and running away with the pitcher WAR title. Going to be pretty hard to imagine that Martinez isn't going to finish this season with a second straight Cy Young Award. But the important thing is our Rockies poised for a 10th consecutive playoff appearance, hopefully another National League West title as we try to position ourselves for a three-peat come playoff time. And we split the first 2 games with the Dodgers, importantly won today, which does guarantee us that 10th consecutive playoff appearance that we've been hoping for. Obviously, the goal now is to take the series against the Dodgers and expand our lead to 3. If we lose today, we'll have just a 1-game lead with our action against the Dodgers completed for the regular season. And we did win the rubber game of the series against the Dodgers, so we did end up going 5-1 against them in those 6 games. Again, weren't expecting that even if we went 5-1 against them that we'd be 3 games up on them here on September 20th. But that is where we are. Our magic number is down to just 8. Taking a look at the schedule, we've got 3 games left against Arizona to finish up our regular season road activity, and then 7 straight against the Phillies and Washington. Taking a look at the standings, Diamondbacks still battling for a wild card spot, as are the Phillies and the Nationals. The Nationals actually would be the second wild card in the National League if the season ended today. So we're facing some teams that are still on the very periphery of the playoff race in the case of the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. And certainly the Nationals seem to have a lot to play for. And with 3 straight losses, not playing their best baseball of the year, obviously, right now. Kevin Roberts Jr., as you can see, back into the top 3 on the home run leaderboard with 36. Pitching-wise, doesn't look like Martinez has pitched since the last time we checked in on him. But Noah Schultz now 3rd in the league in strikeouts. But we didn't think things would be easy, and we lost 2 out of 3 on the road against Arizona, and unfortunately the Dodgers have won 4 in a row, so our lead on them is just half a game. So with 7 games to go for us, 6 games to go this season for the Dodgers, couldn't be any closer. easily the two best records in baseball between our Rockies and the Dodgers. So whoever ends up with the National League West title is going to have home field advantage for as long as they are alive in the playoffs. Whoever ends up second in the National League is going to have to play in a wild card series, despite almost certainly having the second best record in the major leagues. And as we begin these 4 games against the Phillies, they're 2.5 out of the final wild card spot, so they've certainly got a lot to play for. Our magic number still 7 with 7 games to go. Let's hope that we can have a good homestand. Would love to go 5-2 against the Phillies and the Nationals. Take both series, let's say 3-1 and 2-1. If we're able to do that, I think it's going to be pretty hard for the Dodgers to get past us. And the good news is we won our first game against the Phillies 8-5. The Dodgers also won, so still just half a game up on them. Kevin Canty, back tightness, going to make him day-to-day for the next 1 to 2 weeks, given that we're going to need someone who can help us over these last 6 games of the year. Probably going to send him down to AAA or put him on the IL and bring somebody else up. He's pitched 8 2/3 innings for us with a 4.15 ERA, slightly below replacement level, so has not embarrassed himself at the major league level. Has given up 2 home runs in 8 2/3 innings. The walks with 3, not horrible, but still not an incredibly strong performance. Does have a 1-0 record with a save in those 5 games, but he has a meltdown as well. His introduction to the major leagues, though, probably over at this point, at least for this year. And with the demotion of Canty, we reunited with Brian Stoops, former first-round pick, 26-year-old, spent this entire year in AAA Albuquerque, going 3-6 with an ERA of close to 9. We ended up booting him from the rotation in Albuquerque. He was so ineffective, was below replacement level at the AAA level. Just going to have him up for the next several days as a long reliever, mop-up guy who can hopefully pitch some innings for us. But Stoops' career does not look like it's going to be as good as we may have hoped it would become when we picked him 35th overall 4 years ago, back in 2031, out of New Mexico State. He's also at this point a guy who just doesn't really have the stamina to be a starter, unfortunately, which is part of the reason why we ended up booting him out of that role. His ineffectiveness was a huge issue, but at this point, looks like his future, if he has one in the major leagues, is going to be working out of the bullpen. And we won Game 2 against Philadelphia. Fortunately, the Dodgers finally lost, so we're a game and a half up on them. We're both playing today, and then tomorrow we'll play the game that we have in hand on the Dodgers against the Phillies in the final game of that series. Certainly feeling better with a game and a half lead than we were with just half a game, but still 5 games of action left. If we run the table, we could get to 100 wins. But at this point, the goal is just to ensure that we hold off the Dodgers no matter what. And things couldn't be going much better for us. We won the 3rd game of the series against the Phillies. The Dodgers lost again, so 2.5 games up on the Dodgers with 4 games left to play for us, 3 games left to play for them. Our magic number down to 2. Hopefully we can win that game against Philadelphia today, which will expand our lead on the Dodgers to 3 full games with just 3 to go. And we did get the sweep against the Phillies, so at 97-62, 3 games up on the Dodgers with just 3 to go, so our magic number is 1. Possible we would have already clinched. Let's take a look at the head-to-head between our Rockies and the Dodgers, and we were 12-7 against the Dodgers this year, so we have clinched what seemed like an improbable division title, and an improbable best record in baseball just a couple of weeks ago in Game Time. Goal now is to just remain healthy over these final 3 days of the regular season, and then we'll have some time off to set our bullpen and hopefully heal from any little nicks and dings that our players have on them before we begin a divisional series. Roberts Jr. Still third in the National League in hitting, not going to catch Gutierrez and Vaca. Second in homers, Ted Miller is third in ribbies. Anthony Pack Jr. now alone in second in steals. Roberts Jr. has the OPS back over 1,000 and is leading the league in batter WAR. Pitching-wise, Martinez has added another win, leading the league in wins in ERA right now, and running away with the lead in pitcher WAR. So a third MVP for Roberts in 4 seasons, and a second back-to-back, or I guess a first back-to-back, but a second consecutive Cy Young Award for Martinez seem extremely likely. But the goal, despite the attention I've been paying to the quests for some individual statistical prominence and some individual awards over this episode, is ultimately to have this team positioned to hopefully three-peat. And we're going to have home field advantage for as long as we're alive in the playoffs at this point, which is a pivot from where I thought we might be at the start of this month of September. And we did take 2 out of 3 against the Nationals to finish the regular season at a Major League best 99-63. Ended up beating the Dodgers by 4 games in the division. Kevin Roberts Jr. ends up leading the league in OPS and batter WAR. Leo Martinez ends up leading the league in ERA, wins, and pitcher WAR. Some good news and some horrible news on the final day of the season. The good news, Andrew Painter was your National League Pitcher of the Month. 5 wins, no losses, and a 2.43 ERA. So he runs his record to 13-6, 3.43 ERA. Makes a strong bid to be our third starter in the playoffs behind Martinez and Schultz. That's the good news. The bad news is literally on the final day of the season, the good reliever Rich Hannon, elbow inflammation that's going to keep him out for 3 months. So that's incredibly poor timing for that to happen on the last day of the season. 3-2 record with a 3.40 ERA for the 27-year-old right-hander. He was only half a win above replacement this year, so it wasn't as good as he had been in his first 2 years in Colorado, but still certainly is a guy who would have been on the playoff roster if not for this injury. So unfortunately, Stricken will not be with us come playoff time. So with closer Adonis Valer gone for the year, and another guy who could certainly be a closer, although he was used as a setup guy for us, now gone, missing 2 very important relievers as we prepare for the postseason. And after that very average month of August, had an incredible September 22-6 record to close the gap and get past the Dodgers easily. 99-63 ended up being 3 worse than Pythagorean expectations. First in the National League in runs scored, and you can see we are first, second, or third in every offensive and base running category except for walks and strikeouts, where we're middle of the pack. Pitching-wise, second in the National League in runs allowed, and top 3 in almost every pitching category as well. 5th in BABIP and 5th in home runs allowed were the worst that we were. 3rd in defensive efficiency, 2nd in zone rating. The Rockies, when all was said and done, clearly ended up the best team in baseball this year. 4 games better than the Los Angeles Dodgers, and although we're going to be missing a few key relievers, as well as a guy who we thought, and Aaron Judge, was going to be a pretty important part of our lineup come postseason time with the additions and the September call-ups we made. Hopefully we can mix and match and put a playoff roster together that will be a strong candidate to ensure that this team makes it back to the World Series and hopefully wins, as I talked about, a third consecutive World Series when all is said and done. We'll find out next time around how we do in that quest. Until our next episode, thanks so much for watching, and hope you have a great day.